Welcome to the deep dive. We take the sources you're interested in and we really pull out the core insights for you. It's kind of your fast track to getting deeply informed.
And today we're looking at Mercury moving into Taurus. We've got a tarot scoop of the day from May 10th, 2025, and also this lovely story called The Whispering Grove.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
the mission for this deep dive is figuring out how this astrological shift might, influence how we think, how we talk, maybe even our decisions over the next few weeks.
We want to give you those practical takeaways, maybe some aha moments, and definitely some food for thought.
Right. Okay, let's get into it. Mercury hitting Taurus. What's the time frame here?
So we're looking at roughly May 10th through to May 25th, 2025. And the big theme, it's really a shift towards reflection, grounding your thoughts.
Grounding thoughts. Less scattered, maybe.
Yeah, and more deliberate communication, too. Less spontaneous, maybe less fiery than before.
Okay, so moving from that quick mental energy to something steadier.
Precisely. It's about practicality taking over from perhaps passion in how we communicate. And there's an increased focus on what actually matters, what's truly important.
Okay, so what does that look like? What are the key characteristics of Mercury when it's in Taurus?
Well, one of the main things is this natural tendency to slow down, not just how fast you talk, but how you listen and process things.
Listening more deeply, both to others and, like, inwardly.
Exactly. Attentive listening. And your thoughts themselves tend to get, well, steadier, more deliberate, maybe methodical.
Methodical. That sounds useful, but maybe a bit slow for some situations.
It can be. Conversations might feel less like a rapid fire exchange, more like patiently exploring one thing at a time.
Taking your time with ideas.
And with words, there's this sense that you need to weigh your words, consider their impact before you let them fly.
More intention behind speaking then.
Absolutely. Which, by the way, makes it a great time for things like financial planning, anything needing methodical problem solving.
Ah, okay, that makes sense with Taurus being so practical and well-grounded. But is there a downside, a challenge?
There can be. The flip side of steady can sometimes be stubbornness, a bit of resistance to new ideas, perhaps.
Right, getting kind of mentally fixed.
Yeah, or the mind just really wants to focus on one thing, making it harder to juggle different concepts or viewpoints. Digging your heels in, basically.
Okay, interesting. So let's look at the TarotScope for May 10th. That's the day Mercury actually shifts, right? What does it tell us?
It immediately picks up on this. It says, be mindful of that potential stubbornness, but also trust your words when they are well considered.
Finding a balance then between conviction and being open.
That's a good way to put it. It also talks about balancing feelings, honoring them, sure, but not being ruled by them.
Which can be tricky.
Definitely. And there's a call to probe deeper into mysteries, into yourself maybe, and to communicate with honesty and courage.
Even if it's uncomfortable stuff.
Especially then, perhaps. It warns against suspicion, manipulation, obsession, things that can cloud judgment. The idea is to look for hidden insights.
Hidden insights, I like that, through honesty.
Yes, and through owning your own stuff, desires, fears, motivations, the TarotScopes suggest that's how you build real connections, authenticity.
Makes sense. Now, it also mentions some specific aspects later in the day. Scorpio moon, opposite Mercury, and then square Pluto. What does that add to the mix?
Right, those bring in a more intense emotional layer. The afternoon opposition Scorpio moon, Mercury, could mean thoughts and words get really charged with deep feelings.
Potentially more probing or even confrontational.
Potentially. Maybe some all-or-nothing thinking creeps in.
Yeah.
Then the evening square to Pluto. That really highlights power dynamics, emotional undercurrents.
So things can feel heavier emotionally. Issues of control, maybe.
Yeah, underlying tensions might surface. So the day starts with this call for grounded thought, but the emotional intensity could definitely ramp up later on. Good to be aware of.
Definitely. Okay, let's go deeper into that general Mercury and Taurus section from the source material.
Yeah, this part really fleshes out the core idea. It talks about manifesting the intangible to the tangible.
Okay, what does that mean exactly? Like taking abstract ideas and making them real.
Pretty much, turning spiritual insights or big concepts into practical wisdom you can actually use.
I like that. Bringing things down to earth.
And it reinforces that idea that thoughts need time. Time to marinate, as it says. They can't be rushed.
Marinate. Nice image.
It also suggests this is a time to stop, pretending everything's okay if it isn't. Time to get serious about what we think and why.
Facing the mental music, so to speak.
That's a good way to put it. And again, it highlights the practical uses. Financial planning, methodical problem solving, patiently expressing your ideas until they stick.
But it also repeats the warning about rigidity, right? Getting stuck.
Yes, clinging to rigid communication styles, being unwilling to think outside the box. That Taurian stability can sometimes mean resisting the unfamiliar.
So the mind prefers its usual groove.
It can, yeah. It likes to focus and might push back against things that feel too different or challenging.
Okay, so embrace the focus, but maybe consciously poke at the edges of your comfort zone sometimes.
That's a great strategy. Okay, now let's talk about the Whispering Grove. This story sounds fascinating.
Yeah, tell us about Alina.
So, Elena is this young scribe born under Mercury, and her mind is described as quick but really scattered, always racing.
Sounds familiar.
Right. And she's exhausted by the conflict and just the sheer noise in her city, really overwhelmed.
I think a lot of us can relate to that feeling.
Absolutely. So, an astrologer tells her during Mercury in Taurus, she should go find this place, the Whispering Grove, to ground her mind.
A nature retreat, basically.
Kind of. It's described beautifully, smells of rosemary, sage, ancient stones, a big old tree. Very calming, very earthy.
And what happens to Elena there?
Just being there starts to slow her down. Her racing thoughts begin to ease up, become more focused.
The Taurian influence in action.
Yeah. Exactly. And there are these lovely symbolic moments. She finds a blue lace agate, which is a stone often linked to calm communication.
Oh, interesting connection.
And then a leaf falls from the ancient tree with a message.
A message. What does it say?
It says, "Words are seeds, scatter them wildly, and few will grow. Plant them with care, and they become forests."
Wow. That's powerful. Plant words carefully.
It perfectly sums up the Mercury and Taurus vibe, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Patient conversation, thinking through your ideas, building something solid with your communication.
Like building foundations with words.
Precisely. And Elena transforms. When she goes back to the city, her communication is more considered, more thoughtful, and it actually has a much better impact.
So the story is like a perfect illustration of the astrology. It makes it really tangible.
Exactly. It shows you what slowing down your mental process and intentional communication might actually look like and feel like.
And the TarotScope gives us that daily snapshot within the bigger trend.
Yep, like checking the daily weather within the larger season. It helps you see these broader themes playing out moment to moment.
Okay, so let's pull it all together, synthesizing all that.
Mm-hmm.
What are the main takeaways for you listening right now?
Well, the big one is that this Mercury and Taurus period, roughly mid-May, it's really an invitation to be more deliberate, more grounded, both in how you think and how you speak.
An opportunity to pause, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Process more.
Definitely. Process thoughts before they come out of your mouth. Focus on outcomes that are real, tangible, lasting.
So maybe less firing off quick texts, more thoughtful conversations.
That could be one way it shows up, yeah. And it's a really good time for practical planning, like we said, finances, tackling stubborn problems step by step.
But we need to watch out for that potential stubbornness,
Mhm.
right? That mental inflexibility.
Absolutely. That's the key challenge. Be aware if you start digging your heels in mentally.
Yeah.
Try to consciously stay open to different ideas, other perspectives, even if your first instinct is to resist.
Finding that sweet spot again. Grounded, but not rigid. Stable, but not stuck.
Exactly that. It's a balancing act.
This has been really illuminating. A great deep dive. So as a final thought for you to take away and maybe mull over,
Yeah.
think about a situation, maybe one coming up, where your usual habit is to react fast, to speak quickly, decide immediately. How might consciously trying to plant your words carefully, like Elena learned in the Grove, change your approach? What might the outcome look like then?
Good question.
And what hidden insights, those little gems the TarotScope mentioned, might actually surface if you just give your thoughts a bit more space, a bit more time to, well, marinate. Something to consider as Mercury settles into Taurus. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.